Before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die, before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take. For goodness sake, before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die, before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take. For goodness sake, yeah. I wrote my will just the other week. It was funny, it was only one sheet. And I know there's only one me. But I hope I am everything my son be. I'm trying to live right, stay on the drum beat. But I'm in the fast lane, in the front seat. I wonder will I lose control of the Maserati and hit some tree, just being young me. Is there a heaven for G's and soldiers? I can't go to hell, cause I take over. I feel it approaching, but I ain't scared. I made that bed and I should rest in peace before I...
Welcome to another episode of the First to 32 podcast. I'm your host, Steve, a.k.a. S-Dot, a.k.a. whatever you know me as. And today, we got a couple sports subjects we want to hop into. The first one, I want to get right into it. First thing we want to talk about is I was watching the facility last week, and they were talking about defenses and cornerbacks and the whole topic about between Asante Samuel and Deion Sanders, talking about what makes a great cornerback, shut down cornerback, and all of that. And that got me to thinking about two particular players and seasons that I could remember. Champ Bailey and Darrelle Revis, comparing their two dominant seasons that they had. Champ Bailey's 2006 season and Darrelle Revis' 2009 season. So that season for Champ Bailey, I looked up some stats, and it says that he was thrown at 35 times. He only allowed 4 receptions. He tied the league with 10 interceptions that year. He had 98 tackles, 84 solo tackles. That was third on his team. Six of his interceptions were in the red zone. At the Broncos 4-yard line, 3 were inside the end zone. If he had one more fumble recovery, he would have led the league in takeaways. So, that's a pretty dominant season for an individual, especially like Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey was one of those players that he covered one side of the field. He didn't really follow the wide receiver all around the field, but he would just shut down one side of the field. That's some great numbers for a person to have more interceptions than passes allowed by a wide receiver that he's defending. And then I came across this clip from Chad Ochocinco, and he was describing that 2009 season that Darrelle Revis had.
2009 season will never, ever, ever be replicated. Me, 0.
Defensive MVP candidate in my mind.
You knocked on my door.
Steve Smith.
Early this morning, when you knocked
T.O. twice.
and I said, hello, say,
Calvin Johnson.
I believe it is time to go.
Randy Moss twice.
Me and the devil walking side by side.
I don't think you was that prepared that game.
No. How you doing?
I just really don't. I don't think you was prepared.
Wait, which one? The first one?
So in that clip, Chad Johnson was basically explaining that how historical of a season that Darrelle Revis had, seeing that the players that he matched up against that year, even though I would say a few of them wasn't in their prime, Randy Moss and T.O., they wasn't in their prime, but they were pretty good receivers during that time, and he pretty much locked them up. So I'm going to go down his stats for that year. So week 1, he matched up against Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson had 2 catches for 24 yards. Week 2, he matched up against Randy Moss. Moss had 4 catches for 24 yards, and Darrelle Revis also had an interception. Then week 4, he matched up against Colston. He had 0 receptions. Week 5, he matched up against Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn had 2 catches for 57 yards, and he had a touchdown. Week 6, he matched up against T.O. T.O. had 1 catch for 11 yards. Week 7, he matched up against Lewis Murphy. He had 1 catch for 6 yards. Week 8, he matched up against Ted Ginn again. Ted Ginn had 0 yards. Week 10, he matched up against Mike Sims Walker, and he had 0 receptions. Week 11, he matched up against Randy Moss. Moss had 4 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. Week 12, he matched up against Steve Smith. Steve Smith had 1 catch for 5 yards. Week 13, he matched up against T.O. again. T.O. had 3 catches for 31 yards. And then week 15, he matched up against Roddy White. Roddy White had 3 catches for 27 yards. And then the final 2 weeks of the season, he matched up against Reggie Wayne and Chad Ochocinco, and neither one of them had a reception against him. So that was Revis Island, man. He was shutting shit down on his side of the field. The Jets defense, it also should be noted that the Jets had a great defense that year. They had a good defensive line, and then they also had Marty on the other side of him. So that was a great defense, and he used to do his thing. Like, the stats speak for itself, but it comes down to between them 2 seasons, it's super hard for me to choose. Because I would say Champ didn't face the level of competition that Darrelle Revis faced, but Champ defense wasn't as good as the Jets defense was that year. But to allow 4 receptions for a whole season and you end up with 10 interceptions, I think I'm going to still have to go with Darrelle Revis on that year. Because, man, the competition he played against, and for him to do what he did that year is super, super impressive. For you to allow Randy Moss to only 4 catches and 24 yards, and then the next game you play against him is 4 catches and 29 yards. Damn, I'm gonna have to go with Revis on this one. I think Revis Island was the better year. It's super close. I guess you could flip a coin to see which one was better, but I'm gonna go with Darrelle Revis. And that year, he was up for Defensive Player of the Year. Charles Woodson won it that year. I think Woodson won it because he was just a better overall player. He had interceptions, forced fumbles, sacks. Woodson just did more that year. I think one episode I'm gonna break down his Defensive Player of the Year and put it head to head with Revis. I think he had a shot to win it, but Charles Woodson just did a little bit more. So I don't know. I think you could give it to Revis. Damn, it's close. It's close. Looking at Champ, because Champ was a beast too, man. And I think even with those, if Champ faced those receivers that Darrelle Revis faced that year, I think he could have still pulled off the same statistics with the way he played, because he was a beast for the Broncos. He was a beast, period. He was a fast shutdown. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna go with Darrelle Revis on that. Revis Island. We're going to have to go with Revis Island on that one. And another subject I want to touch on, and I think Jeff T kind of started this specific conversation when he was on his podcast one time, and he said that he will take James Harden all time over Dwyane Wade as a shooting guard. And it ruffled a few feathers and got a bunch of people talking.
I still think ringless foul merchant Harden is better than Hall of Fame D-Wade.
I think James Harden is the number 3 shooting guard all time. Me, just like watching this game, going against him, competing against him. Like, it was real life scheme. Like, you had to scheme for D-Wade too. Mm-hmm. But James Harden, when he was by himself in Houston, bro, they was going to the Western Conference Finals every year. They was doing all this stuff. And he was unbelievable, averaging 35, 8. Like, it was he was unguardable. No offense. I mean, like, I ain't trying to disrespect D-Wade. When D-Wade...
No disrespect, but you disrespect him. But continue, Jeff.
Before Bron got there, Miami was damn near... Y'all was competing with us, the Hawks. Like, we was going back and forth.
Yeah.
We wasn't like that. Then Bron came, different stratosphere.
Does Jeff still...
So That was Jeff Green. I mean, not Jeff Green. That was Jeff Teague. He was on the podcast with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem, and he was explaining his reasoning for thinking that James Harden is better than D Wade. And a couple more people spoke on this too. This was Chandler Parsons, and he's a retired player, and Lou Williams. They were speaking on it too.
I love him. I play with him. I had my best year of my career with James Harden.
Remember, Parsons was a teammate of James Harden in Houston, so.
But I'd probably have to rank D-Wade over him, especially because we're talking about both sides of the ball as well. It's D-Wade.
Lou, agree?
I gotta agree with Chandler. I'm going D-Wade on this one. Both of those guys are obvious first ballot Hall of Famers. D-Wade already having his way with that, but you know he's a champion. The things that he was able to do, the way, like again, we talk about shifting cultures. Dwyane Wade shifted culture in Miami and turned that team into a champion with Shaquille O'Neal, and then twice more with LeBron and Chris Bosh. You saw the work that he put in and what he was able to accomplish based on what he did at that two guard position. And James is still seeking that type of success. Individual success, he's had it. That's one of the things that you can't take away from James Harden. But at this point of his career, he'll tell you he'll probably trade all of that in for a shot at the NBA championship. And that's something that D Wade has experienced time and time again. And so, no, I'm not buying. I think it's still D Wade.
Harden.
And I think what gets lost in all of this, like this debate between them two, I think is because James Harden, the way he plays, it looks good. Like a lot of people like the way he played. He got a handle, step back three-pointer, drive to the hole, dish and assist. His game is more prettier than D Wade's. And also, D Wade, when he was in his prime or his better years, it was so long ago. So a lot of people forget how D Wade was. They forget he earned that name Flash early in his career playing with Shaq. But D Wade was a dog. And this is Baron Davis and Draymond Green talking about it too.
James Harden or D Wade?
The reason I'm going to pick D-Wade, he won championship as finals MVP, carrying the team in his third year. I'm going to also pick D-Wade because I think if Harden stayed a two-guard, his career isn't necessarily what it is today. He still would have been an all-star, but what's being compared is the idea that James Harden is a two because you're comparing him to D-Wade, but he's not a two. Early in James' career...
I'm going to pause that. So Draymond was basically saying one of the reasons he's choosing D-Wade over James Harden is because he doesn't see James Harden as a shooting guard. He sees him as a point guard. If you remember watching James Harden in Houston, he initiated the offense a lot in Houston under the Mike D'Antoni offense. So he's saying he doesn't see him as a point guard. A shooting guard. He sees him as a point guard. But then if he says that, then what is Steph Curry? Because Steph Curry doesn't initiate the Golden State Warriors offense a lot. Draymond Green initiates the offense. So would that make Draymond a point guard? And the same thing with LeBron James. Would that consider him a point guard? Because he usually initiates the offense and had the ball in his hand. Even when he was in Cleveland and he played along Kyrie. Kyrie played more off the ball than with the ball when he played with LeBron. So I think sometimes people see certain players how they want to see them, and because I remember they used to have that argument with Allen Iverson. They used to say, well, he was a point guard because he had the ball in his hand all the time and he was smaller, but he shot most of the shot. So
the comparison was there because he was a two. Once he switched to the point, nobody says it, but he became one of the best point guards we've ever seen. One's a point guard, one of the better point guards we've ever seen. One's one of the better two guards we've ever seen. So I don't really understand the comparison.
D-Wade started his career, his rookie season, as a point guard.
For 1 year.
Yeah, that is true. If you remember when D-Wade first got into the league and he was with the Miami Heat, he was playing point guard because he played with, I think Lamar Odom was there. That was before the Shaq trade. So, yeah, that's first year he did play a lot of point guard because he was 6'4", and D-Wade, yeah, like 6'4", maybe 6'5", but he probably like 6'4", and at that height, they usually make you play the point guard position.
I'm just saying, James Harden started at the 2, moved to the point guard. The hardest thing to do is to go from a 2 to a 1. This is why I go with James. I look at degree of difficulty, who has...
So Baron Davis is saying that he's taking James Harden over Dwyane Wade because of the difficulty of switching from a 2 guard to a point guard from when he was in OKC as a shooting guard coming off the bench to a starting star player as the point guard and the offense initiator when he was in Houston.
To do it on their own as the system, so you have to be all cylinders and everything rests on you. He did it as the system.
Yeah, but he still had great players to make that.
Yeah, Harden was Houston. He was the system. He was everything to them. He was, I think he led the league in scoring and assists one year. If not, he was top 5 in both those years when he was, because Harden was averaging like 35 points one year. He was on some other shit.
That system worked.
Absolutely he did. But it's harder on you being the focal point of the team and of the offense. Not saying that D-Wade was not the focal point of the Miami Heat, but he was not the focal point of the Miami.
I'm going to have to disagree with Baron Davis on that one. I think in order for the Miami Heat to win that first championship when Shaq was there, D-Wade had the offense had to run through D-Wade that year. He was killing. Like, could nobody stop him driving to the hole. He was good on defense. He was like not one of the first, but he was a master of the Euro step, and he was always getting to the free throw line, drawing fouls. So I'm gonna have to disagree with him on that point.
Heat. That was LeBron James.
In 06 he wasn't?
That was Shaquille O'Neal.
Man, stop it. I'm a huge Shaq fan. Shaq even said, hey, man, this is his team.
Shaq was the one getting the attention. The system ran around Shaq.
If you left this earth and you come back and they said, here's this resume, here's this resume, which one do you want to be?
Any basketball player who wants to achieve greatness at the highest level is going to take the resume of the champion. But if you took away the resume and showed me the style.
Oh, yeah, James is different.
Which style would I like to import myself in as an NBA player? For me personally, James Harden. James Harden.
That goes back to my point where people like the way James Harden plays. They like the way it looks. It's flashy. Ooh, ah. You could take that style to the court where, pick and roll, pick and pop, handles, step back, 3-pointer. D-Wade style was more of a, if I get you one-on-one. And also D-Wade had a good post-up game too for his size. Dwyane Wade would post you up, turn around, and shoot it out the glass. He was one of the only people that would shoot a bank shot from like the corner in the post. So D-Wade was different. He had the post game. If he get you one-on-one, he hit you with the Euro step, lay it up. He's always drawing the foul. So they did have a difference of style, and I guess is what you prefer, I would say. But and then D-Wade was on his podcast, and he kind of went through talking about his legacy and how he felt about all the talks about where he ranks as an all-time great.
It's going to be a lot of arguments about, oh, he's better because he scored more points. Oh, he's better because I like his game better. Oh, he's better because he won more rings. This conversation never goes anywhere. Let's use a hotel. All right, a hotel has 30 floors, okay? We're talking about an access key. When I look at the game, I look at who has an access key to get to the 30th floor, okay? So the 30th floor access key in winning, I can't go to 30. Bill Russell's up there.
Why you can't go to 30? You got 3 championship rings, 1 finals MVP.
Jordan up there. I may be on floor 25, but I ain't at floor 30. That doesn't make them. That doesn't mean anything to me. It just means that I don't have access to go to that floor. So if you have not won a ring, it doesn't mean you're not colder than somebody who won a ring. You just don't have access to go to the ring floors. Winning a ring is a whole different game than being a great player and having stats and having this and having that. This is the sacrifice. I can have more stats if I didn't care about winning a ring.
Yep.
So this is a different conversation.
Another ball, man.
Keep going. We got to play some more wide up. We got some power.
So he basically saying, kind of what I was saying. It's basically what you prefer, and he's won championships, and there's levels to the championship. I mean, the greats, depending on the championships. He's saying like people has more rings than him, so they're on a different tier than him, which can be true, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he was a great player. And he said that he sacrificed statistics as in scoring for championships, which he did. He took a back seat when LeBron came to Miami because D-Wade was the number one option in Miami before Bron got there. And of course, when Bron got there, he's kind of a better player. So he took a back seat to win more championships. If Bron wouldn't have came there, maybe it would have just been him and Chris Bosh, and he could have, got more stats. May have never won another championship. He may have got more MVPs or MVP voting. You never know. He was runner-up for MVP in 2008 when he led the league in scoring that year. So I'm gonna run down their both of their stats as in James Harden and D-Wade. So D-Wade played from 2003 to 2019. He had 3 championships, 1 Finals MVP. That was mind you, the first championship he won in 2006. It was only in his 3rd season. Now this is what he averaged in the finals. He averaged 34.7 points per game. And these were the points he put up. Game 1, he put up 28. Game 2, he put up 23. Game 3, he put up 42. Game 4, he put up 36. Game 5, he put up 43. And then Game 6, the closeout game, he put up 36. He averaged 7 rebounds and 3.8 assists. That was all during that first finals run with, and back in 2006. For his career, he averaged 22 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game, and 5.4 assists per game. He led the league in scoring during that 2008 season with 30.2 points. He had 13 All-Star selections. 8 All-NBA, 1 All-NBA first team, 3 All-NBA defensive teams. He's the all-time leader in blocks for a shooting guard in NBA history. He got 1,052 blocks. He passed up Michael Jordan for that one. Now, mind you, before he got to Miami were 25-57. They was 10th in the East, and they had the 5th draft pick. When he got there, his rookie season, they were 42-40, and they were 4th in the East. Damn, the East was kind of weak. It was that easy to make it to be 4th in the East. I know in the West, they was pissed off because of those records and teams making it to the playoffs. But his rookie season, he took the Heat to the 2nd round. They lost in 6 to the Indiana Pacers. His 2nd season, he swept the Nets in the 1st round, swept Washington in the 2nd round, and then they lost to the Pistons in the conference finals. The Pistons won the championship that year. And then a couple years after that championship, he got swept by the Bulls, lost to the Hawks in 7, lost to the Celtics in 5. That was the 2008 Celtics. That was when the Celtics beat the Lakers in the championship. So that's solid. It's not the 2 teams he lost to those years end up becoming the champions that year. So that's a good run he had before LeBron got there. And then James Harden, he played 3 seasons with OKC, 8 seasons with Houston, 1.5 seasons with Brooklyn, 1.5 seasons with Philly, and he on his 2nd season with the Clippers. He's averaged 24 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, and 7.2 assists per game. He got 1 MVP, 6 NBA first teams, 7 All-NBA teams in total. He's a 3-time scoring leader, 2-time assist leader. But the knock on James Harden is that he doesn't show up in big moments, or what people would say he chokes or whatever. And these are some of the scenarios. I'm going to run down for you. The 2017 playoffs versus the Spurs. His Game 6 performance where he scored 10 points and he went 2 for 11 for shooting. And then in 2016 versus the Warriors, his Game 4 performance against the Warriors in 16 in the first round where he had 18 points with 4 turnovers. And then in 2023 in the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Boston Celtics, he scored 9 points and was 3 for 11 from the field. So that's the real big knock on Harden, is that in the playoffs, when you really need him, he won't show up or he'll just choke. So I'll look at it like this. If you want to go back regular season, I'll take Harden all day, any day. Statistically, he gonna get you there. He gonna get you assists, he gonna get you points, and he gonna get you rebounds. But in the playoffs, I'm going with D Wade all day, any day. Overall, I got D Wade ahead of I got D Wade as the third shooting guard in NBA history. Harden, I would have to look at it. You can say he's top 5. Is he better than Iverson? That's a debate, and you got to look at the list of the other shooting guards. But me, I'm going D Wade all the way. It's not even close. What he did, he came out. If it wasn't for injuries and him constantly getting hurt, I think his career would have panned out way better than it was. And then he played in a league where Kobe was at his best and at his prime, so it was hard to be the number 1 shooting guard in the league. But when you needed D Wade, he showed up. He played defense. He played offense. He was good at the free throw lines. I think the only thing that Harden does better than him is probably pass, get more assists. But he was never asked to do that. Harden was. But overall, I'm going with D-Wade. I think D-Wade was a better overall player than James Harden. And I don't think it's nothing wrong with that either. I think it's whatever you prefer. Probably most young people will say that Harden was better because they don't remember D-Wade. They don't remember what D-Wade did for the Miami Heat before LeBron got there. Even before Shaq got there, those his first 2 seasons. D-Wade was a monster, you know what I'm saying? And the team wasn't the best. So I'm going with D-Wade, and I don't want to say it's not close, but I'm going with D-Wade all day. And then another comparison that they was doing, TNT, it was a game they was broadcasting, one of the Denver Nuggets game, and Joker had a monster game, and they asked Shaq like, "Hey, what you think your 2001 Shaq versus the current Joker would be?" And this is what Shaq had to say about it.
One Shaq, 2020.
Mind you, 2001 was when the Lakers went almost undefeated in the playoffs. They lost 1 game, and that game was against the Philadelphia 76ers. They lost game 1.
5 Jokic, what happens?
Slavian chicken, wherever he's from.
Wait, what?
Slovenian chicken, Shaq.
Slovenian chicken?
Slovenian chicken.
Really? You tear him up?
Yeah.
What's your stat line? What's his stat line into the night?
I'm
Serbia,
40.
by the way.
I'm getting 40, and they're going to have to double.
Joker is from Serbia, so it would be Serbian chicken, Shaq. But nonetheless, it's chicken with barbecue sauce.
Yeah, he probably going to pick and pop and take me all that, but he probably won't be in the game a while, because after he shoot the 3, I'm running right to the middle lane, and the whole arena going to yell 3 seconds, and we'll see. And I'm going to hit way more 2s than you hit 3s, guarantee you that.
I just don't think they would ever match.
I want to see it. I wish I could see it.
And
sometimes Candace Parker could get real disrespectful towards Shaq, and I know Shaq is like a nice guy to her, but I think this comes from him downplaying her career or not being knowledgeable on her career. I can remember one of the broadcasts where he was like, "Damn, Candace, you won a Defensive Player of the Year award," as if he was shocked or she couldn't do it. And I think ever since then she been like, you know what I'm saying, giving him kind of that same energy. But I'm gonna let him finish.
They're not putting Aaron Gordon on him.
And I'm going to make his brothers want to fight me, because the first play of the game, elbows.
You don't want that. You don't want them apples. You don't want his brothers coming in.
Just as Dikembe Mutombo how them elbows was.
It's you.
I got brothers.
Come on, Twitter. Come at me with the.
He has brothers.
So, me as a lifetime Lakers fan, I vividly remember what 2001 Shaquille O'Neal was. And I get it. The game has changed. Time has went by. You really don't remember him. You just remember him on TV from Shaq and the Fool, or just getting into it with Dwight Howard or other players talking shit online or Twitter or anything like that. But don't get it fucked up. Like, really don't get it fucked up. Nobody in NBA history is stopping 2001 Shaq. I see a lot of people be like, oh, well, the Dream shut Shaq down, you know, when in the finals that year when Orlando went to the championship. And I agree. That was it was a younger Shaq. It was a smaller, more agile Shaq. But that 2001 Shaq is nobody was fucking with Shaq, period. Teams used to have centers, extra centers on their team just for fouls for Shaq. Not good players. They wasn't good centers. They was just extra bodies out there because they needed somebody, because they knew that their big man was going to be in foul trouble, so they needed backup. That's how fucking dominant Shaq was. And I get it. Joker is killing shit right now. I don't think we've ever seen a center. I ain't gonna say we've never seen a center put up the numbers he's doing right now. I think he'll end the season averaging a triple-double. A center has never done that. What he's doing, he's shooting the three. He's good at the pick and roll. He initiates the offense. He's a great passer. He's a great scorer. He knows how to use his body. He doesn't jump that well. But on the same token, he is not fucking with Shaq at all. And I'm going to run down that 2001 Shaq season so y'all can kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from. And I might be a little biased, but I don't think I am. So check this out. During that 2000 and 2001 season, Shaq averaged 28.7 points, 12.7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. This is and then this is just the playoffs. The first round versus Portland, he averaged 27 points, 15 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. The second round versus Sacramento, he averaged 33.2 points, 17.2 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. In the third round versus the Spurs, he averaged 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. And then in the finals, check this out, in the NBA fucking finals, Shaquille O'Neal averaged 33 points, 15.8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Put some respect on Shaquille O'Neal's name. I know time has passed, and a lot of people may remember him from playing in Boston or Cleveland or Phoenix, but the Los Angeles Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal was a fucking problem, and I don't think we've ever seen a player that dominant, that physical in the NBA. He's probably the reason why they want the game to be soft. Like, and Shaq was like 350, imagine, and he was all muscle too. The Joker couldn't do nothing with Joker. Joker is a good player. Joker right now for this season, he's averaging 29.7 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 10.2 assists. He's gonna finish the season third in those statistical categories. That'll be the first time that any player has ever finished third, a center has finished third in those statistical categories in NBA history. So, like I said, Joker is a good player, great player. He's an MVP. He's got a championship, got a Finals MVP. He's a great player, but he's not fucking with Shaquille O'Neal. I remember this was their second championship or third championship. The first one was Philly. The second one was the first one was the Pacers. The second was Philly. The third one, so the repeat when they played against the New Jersey Nets. And there's this picture on the internet of Shaquille O'Neal dunking on everybody, the whole Nets team. And I'm gonna show y'all this. This image right here, Shaquille O'Neal dunking on Aaron Williams. Then you got Kenyon Martin on his back, Shaq on the other side of his back, and then you got Keith Van Horn right here at the bottom looking about to jump, and then Harris at the other side looking. That would be Shaquille O'Neal dunking on Joker, Aaron Gordon, and the rest of the fucking Denver Nuggets. Now, if they play one-on-one, then I'll say that Joker might have a chance. Joker might have a chance if they play one-on-one, but team versus team, that 2001 Lakers versus this current, and another thing, speaking of greats, the Naismith Basketball Association announced their 2025 class Hall of Famers, essentially, and these are the list of people that got inducted. We got Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, Billy Donovan, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles, Danny Crawford, the NBA official, the Heat's owner, Mickey Arison, and that 2008 Redeem Team, Olympic team, they got inducted also. So clap it up for everybody that went into the Hall of Fame. But let's talk about the two NBA players that got inducted. Starting off with Carmelo Anthony. Let's give it up for Carmelo Anthony for getting inducted into the Hall of Fame once again, y'all. I just like getting the clap, but nah, Melo drafted third in the 2003 draft right behind LeBron. Got drafted by the Denver Nuggets. He was a 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA. He averaged 22.5 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, shot 44% from the field and 35% from the three-point line. He averaged 24.8 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.1 assists over his 8 seasons for the Denver Nuggets, and most notably, he took the Nuggets to the 2008 Western Conference Final where he battled it out with the Los Angeles Lakers. And we all know what happened. The Lakers got the best of them because, that's just what we do. He averaged 24.7 points, 7 rebounds, and 3.2 assists in his 7 seasons with the New York Knicks. And then he played 1 season for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then after that, he played 5 seasons, and those were split up between the Houston Rockets, Portland Trail Blazers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. He's 10th all-time on the scoring list with 28,289 points. He has a college championship, and he won the most outstanding player award that year. He's a 3-time gold medalist, and I think he has the most gold medalists between any NBA player. Once again, we're going to clap it up for Carmelo Anthony. You deserved it. A lot of people say he didn't. And just a reminder that the Basketball Hall of Fame is not just for your NBA career. It's for your NBA, college, high school, and if you play overseas too. Another notable Hall of Famer that got inducted, first ballot at that, is a person that I think didn't get as much love and respect as he did for some reason. Probably because of his feud back and forth with Shaq, but Dwight Howard was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let's clap it up for Dwight Howard. Yeah, Dwight Howard got into the Hall of Fame, and during Dwight's prime, he was the best center in the NBA at the time. It was between him and Andrew Bynum was going back and forth for the first and the second, but for the most point, Dwight Howard in Orlando was the best center in the league, and it wasn't even close. So over Dwight's career, he averaged 15.7 points and 8 rebounds over his 18 NBA seasons. He was drafted number 1 overall in 2004. He averaged 18.4 points, 13 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks per game in his 8 seasons with Orlando. He was an 8-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA. He won the dunk contest back in 2008. That is when his feud started with Shaquille O'Neal, is because he put on the Superman outfit because, he went in the booth, put on the cape, turned into Superman. jumped from the free throw line. I don't think he dunked it. He threw the ball in, but it was pretty exciting. So he won the dunk contest. And if you remember, Kenny the Jet Smith was like, Superman! And, you know, Shaq, that pissed Shaq off because Shaq was going by that moniker Superman at the time. So that kind of was the start of their feud. He was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was an NBA champion. He won with the Lakers in the bubble. He was one of the reasons that they beat the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Final. He did probably the best job on Joker that we've ever seen. He was getting real physical with him. He was guarding him damn near full court from the half court, bumping him and everything. He's a one-time Olympic gold medal winner. He was on that Redeem team. He led the Magic to the final versus the Lakers in 2009. And as a Lakers fan, I'm not even going to lie. They probably should have beat us that year. They had a great chance of beating us that year because Jameer Nelson was hurt. And Rayford Austin was the starting point guard, and we did not have an answer for Rayford Austin in the pick and roll. He was killing Derek Fisher, and we couldn't stop him. So he was one of the main reasons that they were winning the games that they won. And then when Jameer Nelson got kind of healthy, he wasn't fully healthy. Stan Van Gundy put him back in the starting lineup, and that's when everything changed for the worse for them and for the better in our favor. And we took advantage of that, and we went on to win that series in the playoffs. That was also the year that Nike was running that puppet campaign between LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, saying that they was automatically saying that they would make it to the finals. Kobe held up his end of the agreement. LeBron didn't, and I can remember Dwight Howard speaking on that on one of his on a podcast, and he was saying how that kind of fueled him to want to destroy LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference playoffs because he felt disrespected that they had already basically planned the finals and said basically make it seem like LeBron was just gonna have an easy route to the finals that year. And that would kind of fueled him. But yeah, Dwight Howard, he deserves it. I think he got a bad rep in the media for a lot of reasons off the court. I know a lot of players said that he plays too much. He didn't have a good relationship with Kobe when he played with the Lakers. But he said a reason for that was he had just came off back surgery, and he forced himself to be out there and sacrifice so much, and then only for the team and then the fans to turn on him. But I think we gonna get Dwight his flowers. Clap it up for Dwight again. Top 10 center of all time. I think I went through that list before, but I'm gonna have to take a look at it again, go through it. But I think Dwight top 10, and he don't get enough credit because the Orlando Magic team was good, but what he did on the defensive side of the ball for that team and for the league, Dwight was a beast. He didn't really have that many post moves, but he was still a great player. So, yeah, we're going to give it up for Dwight Howard. And speaking of Hall of Famers, I was watching Shannon and Chad Ochocinco. They have a podcast together. And I think they were having a debate about, is Chad a Hall of Famer? And that got me to thinking, like, is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not a Hall of Famer? And I seen TJ Huzmanzada, who's an ex-teammate of Chad. He was saying kind of the same sentiments that I was saying, because I kind of felt like Chad was a Hall of Famer. And my reasoning for that, when I think of a Hall of Famer, I think of a player that I think you should have been the top 5 to 10. I would say 5 to 7 at the most. Best player at your position for like a 5-year time frame. And I think during his prime, which was about maybe a 3 to 4 year run, I think Chad was a top wide receiver in the NFL. I'm gonna run down his stats, and y'all tell me, is this a Hall of Fame resume? So Chad, he played 11 seasons. He was a 4-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowl selection. He led the league in receptions in 2006. He led the AFC in yards three straight seasons. He had 7 1,000-yard seasons. He played 166 games. He had 766 receptions. He was targeted 1,372 times. He had 11,059 yards. He had 67 touchdowns. Does that sound like a Hall of Fame resume? I think in the time frame that he played, and he battled through a lot of injuries. He was injured, not a lot, but he had a lot of injuries he was battling. I would say he should be I think Chad should be in the Hall of Fame because I think, like, once again, I think he was top 5 at his position during his prime. If you think about when he played in the league, of course, there was Randy Moss, T.O. Then you had Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith, Anquan Bolden, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. That's just off the top of my head that I could think of. And I think T.O. Moss were the best 2 receivers during that time. And I think you could put Chad 5 in that top 5 range. I think on his run, he was a top 5 receiver during that time frame. And so you had Megatron 2, so that's 3. But I think he's better than the rest of those receivers. Maybe not Reggie Wayne. I think him and Reggie Wayne maybe head to head. Marvin Harrison was kind of older during that time. So if you want to put Marvin Harrison 4, and then you got Chad and Reggie Wayne kind of battling for that 5th spot, I think he's a Hall of Famer. And then I started looking at some of the similar players that made it into the Hall of Fame. Even though I don't kind of like doing this, I don't like comparing errors because I think you can't compare errors because certain errors did things differently. Like certain errors, you got wide receivers that made it because they were great in their era, and their numbers might not be the greatest because during that time frame, as a wide receiver, you didn't get a lot of looks because most of the teams ran the ball during that era. Then you got some errors where they threw the ball a lot. So I don't like comparing errors. So I tried to compare his numbers to someone kind of in the same time frame as him, and I compared it to don't call me crazy either because I know I can hear it now. You crazy as hell for comparing him to this player or whatever, which y'all might be right, but I compared his stats to Calvin Johnson. So Calvin Johnson played in 135 games. He had 731 receptions, 1,312 targets, 11,609 yards, 83 touchdowns, and he only played 9 seasons. That sounds crazy now that I'm reading it back. But shit, Calvin got in. He got comparable, 2 less seasons, less games played. Damn, Chad. They got comparable targets though. They got comparable yards, not touchdowns. We already know what Megatron was on as far. So if you compare his resume to Calvin Johnson's, I think he could get in a player that played in his era. So it's not like we comparing eras to era. Because I looked at Michael Irvin numbers, and Michael Irvin numbers aren't the best, but he was still one of the best players at his position during that time. So that's why he got in, and he's also a champion. So Chad is not a champion, and he really didn't have a lot of playoff success either. But neither did Calvin Johnson. So if Calvin could get in, I'm fighting for Chad. I think he deserved to be in there. He brought a lot of excitement to the game with his celebrations He even had his own Hall of Fame jacket. If you could remember, he scored a touchdown. Somebody put a gold jacket on his back. It said Hall of Famer, but it didn't have it had question marks about a year. So he's pretty entertaining. Chad brought a lot to the game, but I think he should be a Hall of Famer. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that. Should he not be a Hall of Famer? And other NBA news, Ja Morant, NBA young boy. Ja Morant got fined $75,000 because he did the gun gesture. Now it's being reported that he got a warning for it prior to getting fined for it. He got a warning after they beat the Golden State Warriors, and but the messed up thing about it is when he got the warning, it was when they played the Warriors, but Buddy Hield did it to him first. So he did it back at Buddy Hield, and then Draymond Green was pointing at the referee and trying to let the referee know, like, hey, he can't be doing this. You feel me? Telling the referee, like, hey, he shouldn't be doing this, getting a fine or whatever. But I'll piggybacking off that, I find it funny because I can remember a time when the Warriors was playing the Lakers, and Draymond did something, and then one of the Lakers players, if I believe it was Vanderbilt that did it, but he was basically telling the ref to like review one of the plays that it should be a flagrant on Draymond. And Draymond went on his podcast saying that he didn't appreciate that the player was doing that because, they get fined for that, and why would you want to take money out of another black man's pockets or whatever? But he's kind of doing it. He kind of did the same thing when he was gesturing to the ref, like, hey, he shouldn't be doing that. So Ja Morant got fined $75,000. The league called the gesture inappropriate, adding that Morant was previously warned by the league office and the gesture could be interpreted in a negative light. Now, is it negative because of the gesture or is it because of the player? Because we all know Ja Morant got in trouble in the past for gun issues, and he's been suspended in the past. So is it Ja Morant or is it because of the gesture? Because I've seen other players doing it multiple times. Actually, most notably, Miles Bridges when he was with Brooklyn. LeBron James did it when he was with the Cavs. And then, did it when he was with Toronto. So, is the league being petty? Like trying to send a message to Ja Morant, or will everybody get fined for it? Because if everybody's supposed to get fined for it, then they should have also gave Buddy Hield a warning too when they gave Ja Morant the warning, because they basically did it in the same game. So I don't know. And I seen on some other podcasts, I can remember it was Lou Williams. Lou Williams was talking about it, and he was basically saying like, why should we care about Ja Morant or try to take up for him or whatever when he don't even want to do the right thing? He hasn't learned his lesson. So just fuck it. Let him keep doing it and keep getting fined. Because he went on, I think it was either Twitter or Instagram, he made a post basically mocking the fine, saying pew pew. Saying pew pew. Like mocking the fine and saying, it's I don't know what's up with dude. Either he hasn't learned his lesson, nobody's in his corner to tell him like, hey, chill out, or he just don't feel like he's wrong, which he got a point there too. But why should we defend him and he not defending himself by doing the right choices? You already know you got a bad image. But also the league has to take a stand where they can't just outlaw it for one person. They have to outlaw it for everybody. So I don't know. I wonder will he appeal that fine, because that's a lot of money. That's a hefty little bag. That $75K. I mean, he probably don't care because he make a lot of money, but shit, $75K just going out the window for nothing is crazy. And the last thing I want to speak on is Brooke Lopez and his career and his career transformation at that. I was watching the Bucks game, and they had said that Brooke had became the first player in NBA history to record 2,000 blocks and 1,000 made three-pointers. in NBA history because, and it got me thinking like, damn, he was a traditional center and now he's considered like a stretch five. So in his first 6 seasons, Brooke Lopez only attempted 6 total three-pointers. Then in the 2016/2017 season with Brooklyn, that's when it all turned around. In his first 8 seasons, he only attempted 31 threes. He shot 387 threes in 2016, just that year. So he shot and made more three-pointers that 1 year than he made in his previously 8 seasons, which is crazy. And he shot 34.6% from the three-point line. So I think that shows a lot about his character and his resiliency to make a big career transformation like that. And if you think about it, it's prolonged his career also, because now he's not banging inside. He's outside shooting threes, and he's a consistent three-point shooter. He's one of the reasons that the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship, him being a good inside presence on the defense and being able to stretch the big out to the outside the line and make threes. He made a couple clutch threes. So yeah, man, that was just something that came across my mind. Big shout out to Brooke Lopez and his career resurgence or transformation or whatever. And it's March Madness. Yesterday, Duke lost to Houston in the Final Four to go to the championship. They lost 70-67, which is crazy because when I was watching the game, Duke was up by like 12, and then Houston went on like a 11-1 run, something run, and I think it was like 20-some seconds left. Duke had the ball. Cooper Flag had a chance to win the game essentially. Backed the defender down into a mid-range fadeaway two-pointer, and it missed. During the game, me and my brother, we were talking about if Duke ended up winning that game and going to the championship, the national championship, and ended up winning that, will Cooper Flag have one of the greatest one-and-done seasons? Because Cooper Flag is a beast, and I didn't know that he declared up. So he's only 17. He should still be in high school right now, and he's doing what he's doing on the collegiate level. So Cooper Flag is a dog. Like I say, he reminds me of Paolo and Jason Tatum together. If you mix those two together, coming straight out of college, that's what he kind of remind me of. He's a good player. He could rebound, pass the ball. He got a handle. He could shoot the ball. He scores without the ball, and he also plays defense. But that game was a good game between Houston and Duke. Auburn lost to Florida 73-79. So in the championship game, you'll see Houston and Florida battled it out. And today, on the women's side, South Carolina and UConn battled it out, and it wasn't even a game. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was a blowout. The final score was 59-82. But even when the game was close during the second quarter, it kind of got out of hand in the fourth quarter, end of the third, fourth quarter. So I think by the end of the third, they was up by like 20-25. But even when the game was kind of close, the feel of the game was that UConn was just dominating the game. And it wasn't that when I was watching the game, they were dominating off of one-on-one, actually, off the dribble. They were getting most of their points off the dribble. And it wasn't even Paige Becker who was dominating the game. You would think they blew them out and Paige would have had like a great game, but she only scored 17 points. The girl, Ozzie Fudd, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Ozzie Fudd, she was actually the one who was killing. She had 20 in the second quarter. Yeah, she had 20 in the second quarter. She did most of her damage in the first half. So she was killing off the dribble. The girl who was guarding her could not guard her at all. She damn near fell a few times when she hit her with the in and out. She's stumbling back. Ozzie go to the lane, lay it up, or she'll pop it from the mid-range. But that game was over before it was over. I want to say that. And UConn's coach now has his 12th national championship, which is the leader amongst NCAA women's coaches. So let's give it up for the women's UConn Huskies for winning another championship. And so Paige Becker, this was her last game. She'll be probably entering into the WNBA draft. So as a fact, she went out with a boom. So we're going to clap it up for them. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll get the men's final, and I'll let y'all know how that go. But as of now, that's all I got for today. It's been a good episode. Y'all been great. I hope I've been great. If you want to follow me for more episodes, contents, clips, reels, you can follow me on Instagram at the First to 32 Podcast and on YouTube at the First to 32 Podcast. And I'm out. Holla.
I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep, and if I should die before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take, for goodness sake, before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep, and if I should die before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take, for goodness sake, yeah. And every time I see the sunshine, I drop down and give thanks at least one time. Feeling like I'm living on the front line. I'm feeling like every second is crunch time. I've had breakfast, will I make it to lunchtime? And I ain't joking, so don't be looking for punchlines. Will I be the next victim of a gun crime? I don't know the answer, that's why I brung mine. Riding by myself late at night, pistol on my lap at every single red light. Yeah, I made my bed right, so when I do, I should sleep tight. In peace I rest, before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die, before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take. For goodness sake, before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die, before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take. For goodness sake, bury me a gangster, cause that's what I live. Don't cry for me, I gave the best I could give. I can only do me, so that's what I did. And I cherish every breath of my kid, and I don't wanna go before she grow. That ain't cool, but in this game of life, I don't make the rules. Shit, so that's why I get twisted. So I can't feel it when it hits me. And my moms don't need that owner, but I see death around the corner. And if he so happens to make his way around the block, you gotta answer the door when he knock. Believe it. Before I sleep, I pray to the Lord, my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray to the Lord, my soul to take.